This is the grim legend of Jack the Ripper, infamous serial killer, or just an ordinary guy. It all started with this name. Jack the Ripper is such an iconic horror name that when people are trying to come up with a scary name for their horror character, they often use Jack the Ripper as inspiration. But is he really a serial killer? Well, no, not in real life. He's just a character from a horror movie called The Man Who Laughs. But this isn't some obscure indie film. It was made by legendary horror director John Carpenter in 1981, and Jack the Ripper is played by none other than horror icon Kane Hodder. But if he's not a serial killer in real life, then why is his name so sinister? Well, let's start at the beginning. Jack is obviously short for jackal, which has sinister connotations as it's associated with scavengers, and the jackal has long been associated with death. In fact, there's even a deity in ancient Egyptian mythology whose name translates to Lord of the Jackals. And as for the Reaper part, well, that's a little more obvious. The Grim Reaper is the personification of death itself, often depicted as a skeletal figure wearing a black robe and carrying a scythe. Now, scythes are often used as a symbol of death because they were originally used to harvest crops. So the tool of the harvest became associated with the harvesting of souls. But there's another possible origin for the name Jack the Ripper that's a little less obvious. You see, Jack also has strong biblical connotations, as it's a common nickname for Jacob, which means he who will grasp the heel. And in the Bible, Jacob is known for his cunning and deception, as seen in his famous wrestling match with the angel. In the book of Genesis, Jacob is left with a limp, after the angel injures his hip socket, causing him to walk with a limp for the rest of his life. Some scholars believe that this injury is symbolic, and that Jacob's limp represents his subservience to the divine order. However, others believe that the injury is physical, and that Jacob's limp is a reminder of his defeat at the hands of a higher power. In any case, the name Jack has strong biblical connotations that may have influenced the character's portrayal in the film. So is Jack the Ripper really a serial killer? Well, not in real life, but in the world of fiction, he's one of the most iconic horror characters ever created. Thanks for watching.